Okay, class, we're working on the poetry forms aspect, and for this video, I'm going to go through all the rest of the forms that we have, and then starting on Monday and Tuesday, we're actually going to start looking at the different types of poems that fit into these different forms. So we already talked about the villanelle, and we read a form that went with that, remembering the strictness of the fixed form. So the first couple of poems I'm going to show you format-wise are fixed form poems. Like the sonnet, like the villanelle, they're very strict in their forming. The first one I'm going to show you is what we call the Sestina. Okay, it's kind of Spanish in its name. It is very much a fixed form, so it has 39 lines. So it's the longest of the fixed form poems, whereas like the sonnet is 14 lines and the villanelle is 19 lines. This one is 39 lines. So the makeup of this is 7 stanzas. Okay, so you got the 6 sestets, remembering a sestet is 6 lines, so it's 6 sestets. Yes, that is alliteration in there. But there's 6 of them, each with 6 lines. And the author does this on purpose, okay, especially when we're looking at the words that go within them. And then you have one tercet that it ends with. So it has the 6 times 6, which is 36, plus the tercet of 3 equals 39. Again, using math within poetry. The one tercet that it ends with is what we call the envoy, okay, because it has a special function that goes on within it. So the first thing is we have the 6 final words to each of the lines in stanza 1 are repeated at the end of the lines in each of the next stanzas, but the order is random. So what I mean by is if you're looking at the poem and you have 6 lines, the very last line or the very last word in each line could be something like dog, cat, shy, foreign, peace, and then male. Those 6 words are then repeated in the next stanza. And then in the stanza after that, they're repeated again, but they're not done in the same order. So there is no rhyme scheme for a sestina, and there is no pattern like in stanza 1 it goes A, B, C, D, E, and stanza 2 it goes B, C, D, E. It doesn't have that. Just know that the last word in the first stanza of each line, those 6 words, are repeated in each stanza in random order as the last word. Now then, in the envoy, all 6 words must then appear. So they're not necessarily going to be the last word. They're going to be throughout the lines as well. And again, we have no rhyming here, but the author, those 6 words that the author uses fit with the theme and the format and the content of the poem itself. And when I show you a sestina on Monday, you will definitely see that difference in there in the form itself and how the form helps to initiate those words and the theme itself. Okay, so a little off the fixed form is what we call an epigram. This is brief, it's pointed, and it's a witty poem, and there's no fixed form, but they do rhyme. So they usually have a literary device in there, as in it's irony, it's satire, it's paradox, it's antithesis, it's chiasmus, and they're often written in couplets. So that's 2 lines. So these, like I said, are very short. Looking at this famous example from Mother Teresa, live simply so that others may simply live. It's only 1 line, so it doesn't have the couplet aspect, but it's short, it's witty, to the point. So we also call this another literary device. It's usually not an anaphora, it's an aphorism. But in the questions, I'm probably going to ask you what other literary device this is. But this is an epigram, short, witty saying that gets a point across. And it is poetic because it has a beat usually to it, and because sometimes it has a rhyme, but using that literary device element is important. Okay, my favorite kind here, a limerick. These are light and humorous fixed form poems, and this is strict in the fixed form. Okay, so you have a 5 rhyming lines. So it's 5, it's a stanza, it's just one simple stanza. So lines 1, 2, and 5 have the same rhyme, and they are 9 syllables. And then lines 3 and 4 have only 6 syllables and the same rhyme. So the rhyme scheme is going to be A, B, B, A. So keeping that in mind. Now these are meant to be fun. They're meant to be funny and humorous and sarcastic sometimes. Topics can be innocent, they can be silly, they can be satiric, and often they can be obscene. I'm going to show you a couple examples of these. So some of the famous ones that exist here, I'm only going to show you, I think, like 3 of them. And they are meant to be witty, sarcastic, and they play on words. Okay? Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1 and down he ran, hickory dickory dock. So noticing that it is the 5 lines, noticing that the dock, the clock, and the dock, so that's the AA, and then the A again, and then you have the 1 and the run. So these are your perfect rhymes. This is more your slant rhyme. So it does fit within it, and it's not necessarily always going to be that perfect, but it has that quick beat and that quick flow. And noticing here that lines 3 and 4 are shorter in syllables. So if you count the syllables, these are each 9, these are 6, and again we return to the 9. Okay, another one. There once was a man from Nantucket who kept all his cash in a bucket, but his daughter named Nan ran away with the man, and as for the bucket, Nantucket. So the author here is playing on the words. Okay, he's playing on the words so much to the point to where he wants you to notice that Nantucket is the same thing here. So here you think of it as a person's name, but then here the play on the words, which is that witty aspect, gets you to realize that he's trying to say that a man took it, and that man's name is Nantucket. So that play on the words is important. Okay, another one, and this will be the last one. I'm not going to do the Shakespearean one that you see at the bottom of the screen. There was an old man of Peru who watched his wife making a stew, but once by mistake in a stove she did bake, that unfortunate man of Peru. So again, like the Nantucket one, it's playing on it. So definitely showing that wittiness to it. Okay, part of your homework, and this I'm adding to your homework, besides just watching the videos, I want you to write me a limerick. And I want you to have fun with it. Don't be obscene, because we are going to be sharing these in class on Monday as part of our discussion and our interactivity and showing some poetry. So please, knowing that WASC is there, do not make it obscene. Or if you do, don't share it. Okay? And just tell me, hey, not sharing. And I am okay with that. But try to not make it that way. Okay? So going back to the Prezi. Okay, the next one is an elegy. An elegy, so we go from the light and the sarcastic and the witty to an elegy, which is more the meditative, serious, melancholy poem. This is not a fixed form, but it's fixed in content and tone. So it is a lyric poem, lyric meaning it rhymes and it flows, and it's used to commemorate someone who is dead. So it's writing it in honor of somebody else. And like I said, it's serious, it's meditative, it expresses the speaker's melancholy thoughts, and again, no fixed form. Okay, the last one here is what we call open form poetry. This is where we get the idea of free verse. We've done blank verse, we've done strict forms, fixed forms, and now we have free verse. So this is where there is no form. It doesn't matter what it looks like, what it feels like. It's all over the place. It could be in shapes. It could be in different sizes. A line can look like a stanza can look like a paragraph. It has no set form. And the author relies instead on the intensity and the use of language to build the relationship between the meaning and the form. The form of the poem and the style that it's written in can fit with the idea of the words and what it means. Okay, you've probably seen poems before that are like in the shape of letters. So like if I were to write one in the shape of an M, because it's my name, my poem would look really drastically weird and reading it would be difficult, but it would be about me and show something about me. And that's an open form aspect. So it uses the arrangements of the words and the phrases on the printed page, and it shows pauses and line links, and it creates that uniqueness in the form. And we will look at some of these on Monday. Okay, so remember, WASC is coming. Okay, I know everyone has their own little things and what they're doing and stuff like that. We're going to do poetry and we're going to have fun doing poetry. We're going to have fun like we always have fun in my class. I'm not going to do anything obnoxious and over the top or different, but I do want you to come in with an open mind when we're looking at the poetry, because remember, poetry is different and we're just getting into the review. So remember these forms. I'm not going to quiz you on them per se, as in a written quiz, but I am going to ask you questions at the beginning of the class to make sure that you understand or understood the video. So keeping that in mind is important. Okay, the different forms. Monday we will go over and I'll show you samples, and we're also going to share some of your limericks. Okay, have a great weekend. Try and smile, try and get some rest. I know I'm trying to also, and I will see your bright, shining, smiling faces on Monday. Have a great weekend.